Hello, sewing friends. This is Ramona. Thanks for tuning in to the TurboPurr channel, inspired by happy cats and smooth running sewing machines. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Enjoy. In today's video, I'm in my sewing room with kitties Boo and Robin, and I'll be demonstrating the couching technique. In this demonstration, I've listed all the supplies that I've used. I'd like to mention that it's good to press your fabric with an iron before applying the embellishment. There are a variety of sewing machine feet which can be used for couching. When you look at the top of the foot, you can't necessarily tell which ones have a channel for couching. So I've turned several feet upside down. These came from a variety of different machines. And you will notice, starting on the far left, that each of these machines has either a groove or a deeper channel in the foot. On the left, the far left, with the purple arrow, is called an open toe foot, and you will notice that this foot has a subtle channel beneath it. This foot is very useful when doing tight zigzag satin stitching and other types of decorative stitches because it allows room for the foot to glide over the buildup of thread that's underneath the foot. I use this foot for zigzagging on rickrack onto fabric because the rickrack does not have a lot of depth to it, and this foot with the narrow channel glides over it well to stitch it down. The foot next to it has a deeper channel, and this is a candle wicking foot. Candle wicking involves more of a buildup of thread, so I'm just showing you different depths of channels that are in various feet. The next fabric, which also has an arrow pointing to it, I'll be demonstrating with this foot a bit later. This foot can be used for beading as well as for attaching yarn, and it's got a deeper channel to allow for a thicker yarn or embellishment to go through it. Next to it, I have another clear foot, which is used for applying, for couching down pearls, and also yarn could be used with this foot as well. So I put a couple of pieces of yarn in these feet to show you the channels that would guide the embellishment through the foot as it's being applied. And then on the far right, I have another foot which is also used for couching on some models of machine. It's very good when you're looking at sewing machine feet to turn them upside down and to look at the bottom of them. If the bottom is totally flat, those types of feet are generally used for straight stitching only because the straight stitch doesn't require having a channel to glide over it. The channels are very helpful when there is more of a buildup of thread. In this illustration, I am showing zigzagging over rickrack. I used clear, it's also called monofilament thread, to apply this decorative trim to the top of a tote bag. It made a nice decorative accent to the top of the tote bag. I lengthened the zigzag stitch so that the monofilament thread was going through the V's in the rickrack, and it looks nearly invisible when you look at it. This is a close-up, and it still is quite unnoticeable as to where the thread is. There are different types of monofilament thread available on the market. There is also, this is the clear, there's also a color called smoke, which is a dark color of monofilament, which is used on darker colors to blend in. I have found that most of the time the clear monofilament works best for the light to medium colors that I use. Next, the next thing that's needed for doing couching is the zigzag stitch. So this stitch is found on almost all modern machines, and sometimes you would need to lengthen this stitch, such as for applying different widths of the rickrack or other materials that you are using. So this stitch can be lengthened or it can be shortened. It can be made more open or more dense. These are novelty yarns that I will be demonstrating with. I do some knitting and crocheting and obtain these at a knit and crochet shops over the years. So it's fun to collect novelty yarns. These are actually quite thin and they're fun to work with, and they add a lot of texture. So in this, I'll be zigzagging. I've drawn a line down the fabric and am holding the yarn over the fabric. The yarns are twisted together and I'm couching them down with a white embroidery thread. I've used white embroidery thread so that you can see it in this demonstration. You could also use a matching color of thread to the yarn that you are using, or you could use another color as a blender to blend with the colors in it. There's lots of choices. Here is the presser foot again with showing the presser foot with the zigzag stitch. And in this one, I've added another element. I've twisted a ribbon along with the yarns, and so you can see the edge of the ribbon. So there's actually 3 thin yarns and a ribbon. And this is the finished product with the contrasting color of thread. The yarn and the ribbon are twisted together here. Another option with a similar foot such as this, and many machines have a special beading foot. Be sure to ask the place where you purchase your sewing machine supplies about different feet that are used for couching. There are beading feet that are manufactured specifically for certain machines, and there's also some generic beading feet available on the market. And I couched these beads onto a cotton fabric, and with a green thread. It's very subtle, being able to see the zigzag on the thread. And even though the thread is green, it's just really barely visible. It makes for quite a neat effect. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I would love to hear your comments about couching and on what you're sewing. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful day and happy stitching.